Today's devotion is titled, God Has the Last Say. And we are on day 153, and we're on June the 2nd. And as you can tell by the title of this episode, the morning rinse is Jeremiah 26 through 28. So hopefully you've read that, and let's go ahead and jump on into the featured verses. There are two. I grabbed Jeremiah 26, 14 through 15. But as for me, behold, I am in your hands. Do with me as is good and right in your sight. Only know for certain that if you put me to death, you will bring innocent blood on yourselves and on this city and on its inhabitants. For truly the Lord has sent me to you to speak all these words in your hearing. So in previous featured verses, Jeremiah was found complaining to God about his life being unfair. I don't know if you remember that or not, but there's been at least one, and he was complaining in that moment. And his perspective came from what was happening to him. He was being mocked. He was being scorned. He was being degraded by those he was supposed to actually minister to. Like, all these people were treating him like this. Those who were mocking Jeremiah in his past, they caused frustration, and hence he then began complaining to God about his feelings. But in today's featured verses, Jeremiah is a different man than the Jeremiah we previously read about. In today's passage, Jeremiah is faced once again with a challenging situation where he is surrounded by people who did not like what he had to say. However, he is not just faced with people mocking him, he is faced with a possible death sentence. And after he gave this message to the people, most of them in the city were so upset that they seized him and they called for his death based on what he was saying. This moment right there is truly a valid reason to talk to God right at that moment. And honestly, I can safely say that most of us would probably complain about life being unfair if we were faced with a very similar situation like this. Jeremiah, though, he had changed, and his response may surprise you. He actually appeared at peace with whatever was going to happen to him, even though he had literally a front row seat to people plotting to kill him. He had become really ready for whatever he faced, and therefore he responded to the people in that moment with confidence, telling them to do whatever they wanted to do to him. Declaring this to a trusted foe is one thing. Yet giving this emotional freedom to an enemy is totally the opposite of that. It's another whole level. And even though he was restrained, he knew God was watching what was actually unfolding in this moment and knew that his ultimate destiny was still in God's hands. And as you finish reading this story, we discover the people ended up changing their minds and retracting his death sentence, and that was part of this story. So my encouragement to you is to stay the course. When we face trials and when we face setbacks from those people that are around us, we have to remember that God sees all that we are going through. Do you respond differently now? Especially when we see Jeremiah's response is different. At one point he was wondering why life was not fair and why all this stuff was happening and all this. And then now he is saying, you know what? Do with my life what you will. Kill me, do whatever. Just know that, my destiny is with God. And if you kill me, then you're going to be responsible for that decision. I mean, he didn't even appear panicked at all. Like, I don't know how I would respond in a situation like that, but I am pretty confident that I would be in high panic mode, high anxiety, just completely wondering what's going to happen to my life in that moment. So I have a challenge for you today to dig deeper. I want you to think in your mind's eye of any given situation where someone has detached from you. I'm going to use the word unfairly, but detached from you, whether they were mean, maybe they told some lies about you, they spread rumors, or maybe even tried to defame your character. And I want you to plan your new response with the thought in mind that God will always have the last say. Hence, the title of today's devotion. Ask for God's help in forming your response. Your response may be silence. Your response may be sticking up for yourself. Your response may be something totally different. I know I have grown in this area. Am I perfect? No. But I think that probably we have all had our character nabbed at or questioned, if you will. And I think it happens to all of us because we as humans, if we put ourselves out there, have to accept the fact that there's going to be haters. There's going to be people who do not appreciate the things that we stand for, and they misread us and misjudge us. And they will even talk about us and spread lies that are not true and try to defame our character. And I recently have come across, a story where, someone who is struggling is defaming people around our city. And, there's a list of people that are, on this person's bad list per se, and they're all faith-based, they're believers, and my name happens to be on that list of people that this person is trying to shut down and spread lies about. And the interesting thing is that when people actually learn the truth, the truth will come out eventually. And I got a message from another fellow believer that said, this person is, not, saying good things about people, and you are on that list, and how are you responding? And, honestly, it's never a good thing to feel like you're on some list, but obviously I'm not the only one on this person's list, and this person is very wounded. And just like the people in Jeremiah's story, those people that he was trying to minister to were wounded. They were hurt. They were not part of, a kingdom mindset. And so Jeremiah completely understands how your character can be attacked. And, they spread lies about him. And so if we are reading the Bible and we come across, leaders and prophets and teachers and pastors and the disciples, if we are coming across stories in the Bible where there are people that are, saying negative things about them in the Bible, then, don't we think that it's probably going to happen to all of us here on this earth if we are shining our light? Don't you think that that's going to happen? We shouldn't be surprised, and yet we kind of still are at times when that happens, because, we want our character to go before us, and we want our character to shine forth. And, we want to be pure in our soul, and we want our purity per se to be viewed out in public. And the enemy doesn't like that. That's just the plain simple fact. The enemy does not like that. And so when that happens, we have to just realize that it comes with the territory of putting your voice out there and being messengers, right? And so I prayed, and the Holy Spirit helped me with a response to this person. And we've got to be full of grace and mercy. And, when things like that happen, we have to realize that the enemy is trying to steal our voice and our character. It says in the Bible that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And the one thing that I have learned through the years is that he doesn't come knocking on our door as an individual who, or on walking around this earth and comes face to face with us usually. What happens is he influences people to come to destroy us, to come to steal us, and those people are hurt and broken and oftentimes not saved. And so I encourage you all who are listening to remember that there are stories in the Bible, just like Jeremiah, that people spread lies about him, and they spread lies about Jesus, and they spread lies about other people in the Bible. And to think that it's not ever going to happen to us as Christ followers is not true. There's going to be people that do this. And hopefully we will never, ever be used in that fashion. And I'm just encouraging you to ask God to help you to form a new response, a more mature response, and realize that just like Jeremiah had this growth of, at one point he said, it's not fair. And why does this happen to me? He then says, for truly the Lord has sent me to speak to you all these words in your hearing. And if God has sent you to do something, then you have to just do it and realize that there's going to be some issues that come up that probably will be seen as unfair. There probably will be things that happen that, people will be mean, spread lies, whatever. But we have to remember that God sees it all and that he will get the last say. So I just challenge you that if there's any situation in your life where somebody has detached themselves from you or spread rumors or lies or try to defame your character, think of a response that is more mature, especially, when you're talking to the person that brings you that information. Have grace and make sure that your response is not of negativity, of gossip, of slander, of any of that. But you can come forth in the name of the Lord, and you can come forth with your sword and come with the name of Jesus, who will go before you. So in your evening reflection tonight, when you're pulling out your journal and you are talking to God about this situation and asking him to grow in your responses, I want you to write down what your new response to character defamation is, knowing that God has the last say anyway. Could your response be a little different this time? And if it is, I am so proud of you. And I'm so proud of the fact that walking through the Bible and having these devotions and learning and growing every single day, a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, that's what it takes to have a lifetime of faith. And will we ever get perfect? No. That's why, every single day we have to keep growing a little bit more. And I'm excited, and I hope today inspired you to understand that the best of the best of the best of the Bible prophets and preachers and disciples experienced this kind of thing, and so do we on this earth. And I'm just encouraging you to stay strong and to formulate a great and godly response in whatever is said about you, as long as what they are saying is not true. And so that's the key, is to just make sure that your character is strong and that you are upholding a very high standard in your attitude and in your behavior, so that what they're saying is not true. And I hope that if you don't have my devotional yet, there's a link in the show notes. And also, too, if you don't have a journal, be sure and click on the link in the show notes as well and pick up your journal. And until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.